Okay, so next we're going to talk a little bit about the future and where we see things going. And that would be our vision. So our mission statement is to lead the electronic check industry in product, service, and technology. We've developed products really for 4 market segments. Individuals, and those are our person-to-person payment systems. Small businesses, we have web services, recurring payments, and a new point-of-sale mobile payment system that we're going to be launching. Enterprise and corporate, we do web services for corporations, we do recurring billing for corporations and billers. We do custom software development. We develop entire payment systems and payment platforms for corporations and enterprise. And we also have the 4th segment, which is government, which is, again, I mentioned earlier, we have a very, very unique product offering for government, something that's never been available to them before. And sort of the nice thing about the product is it just fits sort of tongue and groove with all what they're doing already. Their entire banking and payment system is based on the paper check. So they issue invoices and purchase orders and so on and so forth. They all carry forward check numbers. So what we're doing fits exactly into what they're currently doing. They don't have to change their entire infrastructure around a new payment method. They can still use checks, check numbers. It's just that they don't have to print paper and mail it. Everything is done fully electronically and automatically at a lower cost and much more efficiently. So we have, I think, segmented the universe into these 4 market segments and have the best products in the industry for these segments. So our strategy is, our product strategy really is to provide those products to those industries, to those market segments. So, the mobile wallet, for example, is probably going to be the leading payment method of the future. I mean, it's going to replace the retail bank. And what people do now with debit cards and paper checks at the point of sale is just going to be a transfer from a mobile device. And there's a lot of varying methods of doing that. Apple Pay just introduced one, Google has one, we have one, Psionic has one. It really doesn't matter to us what ones get adopted in the world of payments, because at the end of the day, all of those mobile wallets need to be funded. You need to put money into them. And nobody can do that faster, cheaper, more cost effectively, more securely than we can. We have a patent on that process. So that's why we have secured the future of this company, I believe, with respect to the mobile payments industry. We also, to enhance that, we have a downloadable point of sale. So, for example, Apple's product is dependent upon a specific hardware device that the user must have. He must have not only an Apple phone, but an Apple iPhone 6. It has to be a specific phone for the Apple Pay system to work. And there has to be complementary hardware at the point of sale. So now the user has to buy a special device, which costs about $1,200. And the merchant has to install new hardware onto their system. And what benefit do they get from that? It's still credit cards. So they're really not gaining anything new. It's not cheaper. They're not gaining a new payment method. I think they totally missed the boat, personally. I mean, we're still pursuing Apple as a customer because we want to load that wallet, but I think it's a non-starter, personally. I think that they'll dump a lot of money into it and they'll get a lot of people to take it, but I don't think it'll ultimately be the solution that gets adopted. The solution that will get adopted is I believe, what we are doing and what Psionic Mobile is doing. And fully downloadable solution that works on any device. So both the merchant system and the user system are software only. There's no hardware requirements. So you can just download it, register it, and use it on any device, anytime. You don't have to go out and buy new stuff. And in addition to that, there's no cards on our system. So merchants immediately are going to love that, because right now they're pretty much required to accept credit cards if they want, or debit cards if they want to accept payments. There's really no other way for them to accept money other than cash or paper checks. So this enables a merchant to reduce or eliminate risk and cost while improving their cash flow and adding a new payment method that works with more people. So there's no barriers to adoption. So we think that downloadable merchant app is going to be very successful. We also do e-commerce payments, and we've done this for 7 years. So we have our web services integration where a merchant can integrate with our check engine and collect check data from customers and forward it to us. We then process that data and clear the funds to their bank account same day. That also works well for recurring payments, whereby the merchant will submit a batch of transactions to us each day that they want to process. And so, for example, you've signed up, probably all signed up to have your monthly electric bill or whatever automatically debited from your account. It's that type of thing where they would automatically run these transactions every day in batches. So we have the, obviously the lowest cost method of doing that, safest. We also do, as I mentioned, system development and licensing. That's been obviously quite successful, especially with these mobile apps. So we expect that line of the business to continue to grow pretty dramatically. We're getting almost daily now people calling us, wanting an app, a mobile payments app. So we're in that business, and that's all like just selling licenses is a whole revenue stream. The government payment platform, as I mentioned, that's just, that's one of a kind. That's exclusive to us. We're also working with the other providers in the industry, the other companies that provide payment services to government. So, not just direct government bids, but, for example, Official Payments is a big payment processor for the government. They've been getting in government business for 20 years or more. They have the bulk of the government business right now. So, if we can sell them, supply them, we're in government that way. So that's an example of another example of value-added partnership that I like, and we're pursuing that right now. We've actually been talking to them previously. We also offer the fraud control, and I'm adding compliance on that because in these regulated industries like the legal marijuana industry, there's some unique compliance requirements that are unique to specific industries. For example, gambling, you have to be able to prove age. You have to be able to prove somebody's over 21. So you have to be able to validate their identity and have a document that proves that they're of age. So the fraud control, we've always been on the leading edge of fraud control technologies, and I've been writing patents around fraud control methods for quite a long time. And Steve and I have been involved in a lot of projects over the years developing really cutting-edge fraud control technologies. And what we do, and why our technology is so good, is it's not any one thing that we do. And it's not just piling everything on it either. It's selecting the right mix of rules, technologies, and blending them in a way that maximizes acceptance of the transaction, reduces the fraud, and eliminates the, what you call what do you call those, where you get transactions declined where they look like they're fraud, but they're not. There's a lot of transactions that are declined due to over-aggressive fraud control technologies. So legitimate transactions are declined because they might look fraudulent. So our technologies are designed to go one step further and clear as many transactions as humanly possible while mitigating fraud. And, you know, we've had a phenomenal track record. I mean, by far the best in the industry for any payment method. I mean, we virtually have had, you know, no fraud. We've had customers that we've provided services to that they have been fraudulent. The merchants that we've provided services to. But as far as, you know, fraud on our system, it just really hasn't existed. And that's due to our, you know, our fraud control technologies and experience and what we've built there. Okay, so, you know, we've talked about mobile. And I'm a believer that pretty much all payments are going to be originated off a mobile device in the future. Not just consumer payments, but business-to-business payments and all payments. If you look now at some of the, you know, the shippers and the carriers, they all carry mobile devices and everything's scanned and barcode this and barcode that. All that can be taught. It's also has software on the back end that all interconnected, networked, and all that can trigger transactions. So it's just, there's no way that mobile is not the future of, there's no other possible scenario if you look at everything that's going on in the world. So, you know, some of the benefits are, you know, some of the things that we do as a provider to mobile is, you know, we're building apps that are, we think, the best type of product for the industry, and we're white labeling these apps. So in other words, we talked a little bit about this, about companies coming to us looking for mobile payment systems. Well, we have the ability really to develop a mobile payment system and customize it and brand it for anybody. So let's say Best Buy, just using them as an example, we don't have any relationship with them, but let's say they wanted their own Best Buy mobile app. They could come to us and we could build it with unique custom features just for them. We have all that technology and capability, and we can probably do it for a much lower cost and much faster, more efficiently than any other company. With the mobile, you know, you obviously register and you load money onto the system. You know, we're limiting it to 2 ways to load money. Obviously, we want to drive volume on the MyECheck system, so you can load from your checking account with MyECheck. But also, we want to capture the unbanked and give them, you know, the ability to use our apps, and we can collect transaction fees when they spend the money and when they transfer money. So it also gives the, you know, so we offer cash loading as well. So the 2 ways that you'll be able to load our mobile apps: cash and check, electronic check. That will capture everybody in the country. There's nobody in the country that cannot load with either cash. If you don't have a check account, it's cash. So you don't need cards. There's no reason to have a card, a debit card. Once you have a wallet that you've loaded, you can then spend that money anywhere, and it's guaranteed money. So there's no risk to the merchant. And there's really very, very low transaction fees associated with that. And then you can add rewards and incentives for people to use it. So the merchants can incentivize people to use their mobile payment because they don't have to pay credit card fees. So they can give that money back to the consumer to get them to use it. And then the consumer can then earn rewards, and they get bonuses and benefits from using it as well. So both the merchants and the consumers benefit from a system like this. In addition, it provides a bank account and a spending vehicle mechanism for the unbanked and the underbanked. You don't have to have a bank account now. You can just have a mobile app. You can just load it with cash. You can spend that cash. You can transfer it overseas. So that's the future of payments. And, you know, it's also the future of banking. When you start thinking about this, and you start thinking about, well, what if I tied a low-interest line of credit to that wallet? And when somebody came in and they registered the wallet, they also applied for a line of credit. So now you have a credit vehicle as well. You can spend out of that wallet and draw down off a credit line at a reasonable interest rate, as opposed to gouging 25% excited about mobile. We really like the products that we have. We think that both customers and merchants are going to like these products, and they will adopt them. The other thing about the mobile app that is unique to us is that we have the best funding mechanism in the world, which is the electronic check. We've talked a little bit about, I think, most of you probably know that the Federal Reserve is currently writing a proposal, or it's not a proposal, they're actually amending Reg CC. Reg CC is the federal regulation that really defines payment methods, payment instruments. Over the past 2 or 3 years, they've been more than that, really. Working on a new payment method. They've called it various things, electronic payment orders, and various things. They finally concluded that they're going to create a new payment method called the electronic check. And it's not done yet, but they've gone out to the industry twice for comments on this issue, and on both occasions the comments came back favorably. So the next course of action is expected in December. What I expect to happen in December is there to be a new payment method defined by the federal government called electronic check, and another payment method called electronic return check, return electronic check. One's for the forward process and one's the return process. So once this happens now, and in addition to defining that item, essentially they're saying that an electronic check is equivalent to a paper check. And that was sort of the big issue. Nobody knew what rules apply to electronic checks. It's a brand new invention. It's not mainstream in the banking system. When a bank receives one of these items, it was created electronically. There's no paper trail. They didn't know necessarily what the rules were, who's responsible to check balances, what are the warranties. So the Federal Reserve, one of their big roles is to warranty items and to make determinations as to who's liable on the item. And there were, with ACH, for example, it's completely different than it is for checks. It's a much riskier environment for merchants to be in an ACH environment. So the fact that the Federal Reserve determined that an electronic check is the same as a paper check is huge good news for us. Huge. It means that we're not subject to all the electronic commerce rules that Reg E, for example, that ACH is. So it's not lumping us in with ACH. It's giving us our own unique payment method. So now, going forward, after that happens, banks there's no gray area here. The liabilities are set in stone. There's a framework of regulation around the electronic checks that never existed before. Now banks can adopt them, whereby they've been reluctant to in the past. So this changes everything. This changes the world dramatically. Now enables electronic checks. The other thing about the law is that you don't even have to have a check in it. Like right now, we're actually creating a check image as part of the item, having the data. You don't even have to have the image. It's just data. So that's even better. So that's just files are smaller, they can move faster. So what's happening on the Federal Reserve side regarding electronic checks is really exciting for us. Nobody knows about this. You guys know about it because you're in MyECheck shareholders, but this is what we've hired William Mills to do, is to get the word out about this, because nobody knows about this yet. So when the word gets out, things are going to change pretty dramatically for us. So that's what we've been setting up for. The electronic check is based on 21st century banking infrastructure. All other payment systems in this country are all based on 1970s banking infrastructure. Credit cards, that infrastructure was built in the 70s. ACH, that was built in the 70s. And all these systems are really archaic and they're really bad. And they're really almost embarrassing compared to what other countries have. And they've been stymied, if you will, or held back. Progress has been held. I've been held back. MyECheck has been held back. We've had this technology for almost 10 years. And we've had a rough time with it. So, but things are changing, and this new rule will essentially change a lot, very dramatically. Electronic checks are faster, safer, and less expensive than the other payment method. You can tie more data to a transaction, you can collect payment from more payers, and the rules are much better. So there's no reason now for the United States not to lead the world in electronic payment methods rather than lag the world. We're in the last place right now. Every other country has a real-time or same-day payment system except for us. We have it. Here it is. It's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. It's about, honestly, if you count wire transfers alone are over $100 trillion in this country. Checks, 31 trillion. ACH, 36 trillion. ACH that are converted that start out as paper checks are converted to ACH, 9 trillion. We're the first to market in this industry with a patented solution. So our payment method will work, especially our app, the mobile plus electronic check, works anywhere, anyone, anytime. All you need is ID, money, and a mobile phone. Use our system, and you can enable real-time payments. This will give you freedom from interest for the user, freedom from having to carry plastic cards around, freedom from late fees and other types of fees and fines, freedom from paper, give you freedom to pay anyone, anywhere, anytime. So that's freedom. And our new product is going to be called Freedom Pay. It's the fastest, safest, most secure way to request or send money to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Coming January